with your host, Upper Perkiomen School District Superintendent, Dr. Alan Roche.
We are Upper Perk. We are Upper Perk. Shouting loud.
Welcome to episode 3 of Inside Upper Perk, the Superintendent's View podcast. It is now November 2025, and we are looking ahead to the holiday season for both Thanksgiving, which is in a couple of weeks, and then not too far off is winter break. So I know everyone's looking forward to a nice, long, and restful winter break. It was exciting last week as we hosted the Upper Perk Education Foundation Wizards game. It was a great night of fun for our entire community as we sold over 800 tickets, and from what I'm being told, it was a sellout. In addition, many people volunteered their time to make the event a huge success, so I want to thank everyone who planned, participated, and attended the event. And hopefully next time the Wizards come to town, I will score more than one basket. I did have 2 points on 2 shots, so not too bad. But it was a really nice event. Great job by everybody. At this time, I'd also like to take a moment to thank our outgoing school board members. As you know, we had an election early in November. So over the past 4 years, we have both Mrs. McCormick and Mr. Prego, who are heading off the school board. So I'd like to thank them for their 4 years of service to the district. It's not an easy job. The pay is not very good because there is none. But they did a fantastic job supporting our community through all the ups and downs of normal public school. So thank you so much for that. And also, the election results did have an outcome of having 2 returning board members, so congratulations to Mrs. Cunningham and Mr. McCarrick. And we also like to welcome to the board 2 new members, Monica Oswald and Paige Konopelski, to the school board. So those festivities will take place on December 1st, where we have a board reorganization and a meeting, and our main meeting for December also on the 1st. So I'm looking forward to working with the new board members, the returning board members, and the current board members moving forward into 2026. And then another annual event that I enjoy attending is the annual National Honor Society induction. This is at the high school level. The annual event welcomes new high school juniors and seniors with membership into the National Junior Honor Society. I was not a member of the National Junior Honor Society, but what it takes for our students to apply and participate is a lot. The honor is bestowed on students in 4 areas: leadership, character, service, and scholarship. So I'm excited that I get to welcome all the families and the students to the induction ceremony, and want to thank Mrs. Phillips at the high school, who was a high school teacher and the NHS advisor, for taking on the role and supporting our students. This should be an excellent event. We have 33 new members to be inducted, and now they'll be joining 37 current members of the NHS Society at the high school. And also this month, I'll probably say it at the end of the podcast, is our anticipated Thanksgiving break. So I know everyone, including myself, is looking forward to Thanksgiving. It seems like Thanksgiving is later this month than usual, so when we return, it will already be December. So I hope everyone has a restful and enjoyable break with family and friends. With that, let's get into the conversation today, because we have 2 fabulous guests on today's episode. All right, our first guest on today's episode of Inside Upper Perk, the Superintendent's View podcast, is Mr. Jeff Fries. He's our principal up at Hereford Elementary School. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Mr. Fries, as well as hearing him brag about the students and staff, teachers, and families at Hereford. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Fries to the podcast.
Thank you. Really appreciate being here, being able to represent Hereford Elementary School, Dr. Roche. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you're part of the principal series here. So you are now the 3rd of our 5 principals. And we'll tease for next month. One of our principals is also lined up, but we're not saying who just yet. So thanks for joining me. I look forward to speaking with you. So let's start off with a general question. So what drove you to want to first be a teacher and then move into the world of being a principal?
You know, when I started out as a kid, selecting a school and all of those things, I knew right away I wanted to be a teacher. In fact, I thought that I'd be a teacher forever. Absolutely loved what I did. But I was very fortunate to work with an incredible principal early in my career. The guy's name was Dr. Dave Snyder. He was one of those leaders who really shaped how I see education and leadership. He ran his building in a way that inspired me to become a better teacher. And years after working for him, I've kind of really boiled it down to 2 things that this guy really ran by, which was the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. Right? That was his number 1. He might not have said it, but that's exactly what he was about. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is, you might appreciate this as sports reference here. John Wooden, the UCLA coach, basketball coach. Character is what you do when no one is watching. And again, that was something that he and his staff lived by. And both of those quotes really stick with me to this day. It's no coincidence that I ended up at Hereford, because I really feel like that community already lives or lived by those principles long before I got there. It's part of the DNA of the school, and it's what makes it such a special place.
Right. So you mentioned the Hereford community, and as principal, right, you're the face of the building and leading that. So what are you hoping? What do you hope is said about Hereford to potential families that are like, hey, we're looking to move into the area, and if we did, we'd move into the Hereford area. What do you hope that is communicated, the reputation of Hereford as you and the staff that's there now?
Well, first, the setting of Hereford is absolutely stunning. If you've been up there, Berks County, it is absolutely beautiful. So, but beyond that, I'm obviously been a longtime principal, but I'm a parent as well. I have a middle schooler, I have a high schooler, and I know what I want people to say about my kids' school. I know what I want people to say about our schools. I want families to say that they feel welcome when they're at Hereford. When they call, when they email, when they walk in the door, they're greeted with warmth and respect. Of course, I want them to say that our school is a safe place, a child-centered place, where everyone's needs are met. I also hope that parents at Hereford say that they feel connected, that they understand what's expected of their children. They get clear communication from me, from teachers, and they're invited to be a part of their child's education. Ultimately, I want families at Hereford to be proud to be part of the Hereford community.
Yeah, those are all things that I hear and see about Hereford, so that's great. And both you and I and all of our principals, most administrators are fortunate to be able to get to visit classrooms. Probably you get to visit them a little more often than I do. I try. But we get to see so many great things, great lessons, students learning every day. So can you share some of the ways that your teachers make learning fun and engage the students at Hereford? Because they bring that excitement home to their families as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a favorite part of my day, getting out into those classrooms and seeing the fantastic things that are happening. And I won't do this question any justice. There's so many good things happening in our schools in Upper Perk and especially
just one or two.
in Hereford. But just walking in the building, one of the things that I'd love to point out is Paige Pyatt. She's our art teacher, and she makes sure that our hallways, it's not just the art room, but the artwork, the work that the students are doing are in the hallways on display, making it that child-centered, environment that we strive for.
So both you and I are very fortunate in our positions. I'm sure all of our principals and administrators, we get to visit classrooms and see so many incredible lessons. I know you're in the classrooms more than I am, but I'm lucky to get to see the outcome of all the teacher planning as well as the students every day. So can you share a few ways that your teachers make learning fun, really engage the kids, and that's what gets translated back to the families?
You bet. First, when you walk in the building, I need to give a shout out to Paige Pyatt. She's our art teacher, and what she does in that art room is fantastic. But it doesn't just stay there; it's all over the walls of our school. It makes our school feel like a child-centered school, that school that we strive to be. I also want to, our teachers, on every single day, you talk about planning. They're planning core lessons in reading and math. On top of that, in reading and math, they have 3 separate targeted small group lessons each day. That's during our win time, what I need time. It's an hour dedicated to giving every student exactly what they need, whether it's intervention support, enrichment, or targeted skill work. They're constantly checking progress, making adjustments, celebrating growth. And then they still have time for science, social studies, and writing every day. So there's a lot going on now. I do want to give a big shout out to Dana Braun and Jen Bruning, who recently started an Odyssey of the Mind after-school program at Hereford. What an opportunity for our students to be at school beyond the school day, but also to participate in a program that's been around for a long, long time. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's a creative problem-solving competition where students design, build, perform. They collaborate. It's fun. Just on last Thursday, they had sort of their capstone event brought their parents in. The kids were serving popcorn, and the kids had researched commercials, and they had researched all the different types of advertising. They had created their own videos. And they presented them to the families that evening. It was fantastic to see, fantastic to watch. And again, huge shout out to Miss Bruning and Miss Braun for getting that
Part
up
of my
and running.
experience with Out State of Mind, and you'll get this as the group is going on, they're going to need storage. They bring lots of materials, and the parents are excited. I mean, cardboard things that are made together, and really trying to solve these problems. And then the great part is that typically once a year they have an event where they're able to go and participate. I don't know if the elementary's at that level, but in the upper levels they're ready for sharing on a Saturday at such school is hosting something, and they get the problem there, or they it's a lot. So storage is something you got to think about.
Well, and they're already planning on getting ready for a spring, another round in this coming spring. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that as well.
Great.
Awesome.
All right, so let's move forward. Let's talk a little bit about PTFS, the relationship, the partnership that the Homeland School has. So how does the PTFS, who I think is so supportive here in our district, support the work that you're doing at Hereford?
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I started at Hereford back in 2013, and the PTFS that was in existence then was fantastic. And certainly the faces have changed, but it still continues to this day. Names like Tara Leska, Aaron Banis, Tina Miller, Laylee Almarie Castillo, and Danielle Zifra. Just absolutely working tirelessly.
I like the name drops. That's nice.
How about
yes,
right? They deserve it. They deserve
no
it
doubt,
for sure.
No doubt.
But the work that they do, the fundraising, the Hereford Hike that we do at the beginning of the year, that funds everything for our students. It makes virtually everything free. For instance, each grade level gets a special T-shirt every year. They bring incredible enrichment programs like Gym Basketball Jones, Walnut Street Theater, and so many other family events after school, free. Book bingo, Sweetheart Dance, our end of the year playground party. Their support is definitely what makes Hereford a place that extends beyond the classroom. They're really appreciated.
Awesome. Yeah, all the way up. Thank you. Yeah. So here I'm going to make you think a little bit. So I'm going to give you the prompt, and I'm going to give you a little thinking time. So what's your favorite memory from your time as principal at Hereford that always makes you smile?
I think, again, I started at Hereford in 2013, and, I had been a principal in another school district prior to that, and it didn't have such a strong PTFS. It didn't have as this strong of a character as Hereford Elementary, for sure. And one of the things I inherited was that Hereford hike. And part of the hike, as it was told to me, was the principal always had to do something if they reached a certain amount of money, if they reached their goal. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, of course they reached their goal in 2014. The idea was to put the principal in a dunk tank.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So, what the PTFS president did at the time, her name's Mrs. Hill. She's now our main office secretary.
Right.
Fantastic lady. But she scheduled my dunk tank on a cold day in May. It was about 50 degrees outside. And, there's plenty of pictures of me wearing an inflatable swimmies, inner tube. And,
nice.
But I still think I'm thawing out from that event all these years later. Nice. But again, it was fantastic to see
if we can unearth those photos.
Right.
Yes.
Well, you don't have to.
I didn't know they were available. Now I'll see. Talk to Mrs. Hill to see if she has them.
So, again, the event itself and the joy it brought to the kids to dunk the principal and some staff members as well. It's, again, one of those events that I'll always look back on with a big smile for sure.
Dunk tanks you hear about pies in the face. I had one time, I put my own hair on a line one time to be have a shaved head.
Nope.
But the
Don't
students,
get any ideas,
people. No. The students hit the goal, but they voted for the assistant principal. So that's how it works out.
Dodge that.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, last question. So what do you hope your students will remember most about their time at Hereford and about you as principal? So, they're excited. They're excited to leave you in third and fourth, but think about when they're there and they reflect on Hereford, or when they come back for their senior walk. What do they remember? What do you hope for them to remember about Hereford?
Love that tradition, by the way. That's a new tradition, that senior walk. It's fantastic to see them. I barely remember them. I think they don't remember me. It's something as, I was a former kindergarten teacher, and I always figured they never would remember me, years down the road. But if they do remember me as principal or as a teacher, I hope it's that somebody that believed in them, somebody that encouraged them to believe in themselves, and that they really carried through and got the idea of what Hereford's all about, right? Going back to those ideas of Dave Snyder that we talked about at the beginning, treating others the way you want to be treated, and remembering that character is what you're doing when no one's watching. If they leave Hereford with those two ideas, and of course that they're proficient readers, writers, listeners, and thinkers as well,
Yes.
I think we've done our job.
Right. Yeah, and the students, as well as the staff on those graduation walks come by, but the students always want to go out to the playground.
Yes.
That is definitely a memory that they have for a picture and that type of thing. So I would agree, it's a great event. So I'd like to thank you, Mr. Fries, for your time today to sit and talk with me on this episode. It's great to know a little more about you and hear some of your thoughts. Any final thoughts for the veteran here?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on today. And as Thanksgiving comes up here, I'm wishing everybody a wonderful, awesome Thanksgiving. A lot of hard work by everybody across Upper Perk in these last couple of months. Have a great Thanksgiving break.
Yep. And before we know it, it'll be winter break. All right. So thank you, Mr. Fries, and stay tuned for our next guest.
We are Upper Perk. We are Upper Perk. Stop the beat. We are
Okay, today I'm excited to have Dr. Andrea Farina, our Assistant Superintendent, join us. She's been leading several key initiatives across the district, including one of the most significant updates we've had in years as we transition away from Skyward to a new student management system called PowerSchool. If you remember, Dr. Farina also led us through some of the work of the pandemic. It was a pandemic coordinator.
Yes,
Was the title
it
for a
was
little while, right?
delightful.
So as we start our next school year in 2026, 27, Upper Perk will no longer be using Skyward. We'll have a new student management system called PowerSchool, and I wanted to bring Dr. Farina on to share a little bit about her work as well as what that impact of PowerSchool will be for our staff as well as for our family. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yep. Before we jump into this exciting world of PowerSchool, I know it's pretty much dominating the calendar for a lot of us. Share a little bit about yourself and your pathway to being the assistant superintendent here at Upper Perk.
Sure. So I've had the privilege to be in the Upper Perkiomen School District since 2015. I started my career here as the Director of Special Education, and in 2017 I was able to transition into the Assistant Superintendent role.
All right. Any regrets going up to the assistant superintendent role versus the director of special education?
No, I don't think so. I think that it's actually reflective of, the position is reflective of who I am and my belief in collective leadership. And this particular role has allowed me to work with teachers, to empower teachers and staff, to honor students to have a voice in shaping our school. And I do believe that's how transformation happens.
There are some days as superintendent I miss the assistant superintendency as had a lot more fun. Was able to have a little more freedom and again involved in a lot of different aspects. So
Which is why I'm still the assistant superintendent.
understood. Yes. So let's go back a little further. What first inspired you to get into education?
So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that both of my parents were educators. My father was a high school teacher, a high school principal, a longtime superintendent, and my mother was a 36-year veteran special education teacher. So I always say it was most definitely in my DNA. But I actually started my career in emotional support because I really did want to make a tangible difference in the lives of kids. I've always loved learning, but more importantly, I love watching others discover their own paths. Over time, I do believe my passion extended beyond the classroom to really creating those systems and supports that allow every adult, every family member, every student to thrive in our organization.
Do I have it right that you were a student in a school where your father was principal?
That is correct.
Wow. Any takeaways from that? I'm sure that would be tough for me, I'm sure.
Well, the people who know me here probably know that I was not always the best student, so I did have some opportunities to visit my dad. Mr. Kresley can talk about those.
Okay.
However, it was a great pleasure to have my dad as the building leader.
Yeah.
He was an inspiration, there's no question.
Right. Nice. That's good to hear. So when you look at your work and responsibilities, and I know they've changed over time, I mentioned the pandemic and now PowerSchool, what do you enjoy most about your position?
Yeah, I think it's the opportunity to connect the big picture. In the district currently, I have responsibilities that sort of craft the vision, the mission, and what that means and those actions. But, this current position allows me to work with my colleagues, both teachers, our administrators, our directors, into what the day-to-day reality looks like around those that vision. And so I have the privilege to work with every single department in the district to see how those pieces fit together for kids.
Right.
And so the other benefit is that no 2 days look the same ever in my life. And so, I still have the really cool opportunity to talk to kids,
Right.
to talk to teachers, to grow building administrators, which is a passion and a privilege altogether.
Right. Agreed. Yep. And what you were saying about vision, I know you led the comprehensive plan work last year, so that's kicked off and fully being implemented. So
Yeah, getting to co-create that with a huge stakeholder group was an honor, but it really brought about the varying perspectives that often guide the work that we do in our roles.
and including community members, not just the in-house
Absolutely.
staff and obviously our board members, but also community members.
Yeah, and being vulnerable to accept critical feedback.
Yes.
Sometimes
That's a nice way of putting something.
was an honor, as I mentioned.
Right. Okay. So let's shift gears. Let's take a look at the upcoming change for PowerSchool. Some may think it's not that big of a deal, but it's a system that we all work in every day. Our teachers and staff will work in for our student management system. So help everyone that's listening to the podcast know, what is PowerSchool? What does it do? It's going to eventually replace Skyward, but from
Sure.
there, what's the advantage of PowerSchool?
When I got here in 2015 was when we transitioned to Skyward. Essentially, we had a DOS-based system, and so that was implemented in 2015, and so we've had it for over a decade. And so what we realized through the surveying of our staff, our support staff, and our administrators, is that perhaps Skyward, which is the current version, was not satisfying those needs. And so from that feedback, we established criteria. We did review several options, as you mentioned, including PowerSchool, Infinite Campus, and Cumulative, which is Skyward's newest version. But
ultimately, Skyward told us you have to make a decision on something because by December of 2028, we can't support the current system. So we're kind of forced a little bit in to make a change and upgrade.
We were.
And that trick.
We were.
triggered the
And
process.
so, it seems like 28 is a long way away. But I think the critical nature of the student information system, led us to make this decision well in advance in order to honor some of the things that, and we'll likely talk about, that emerged from that survey. But really what stood out about PowerSchool is how user-friendly the design of PowerSchool was. It has mobile access. There are, power scheduling tools that were essential in order to help us build our secondary schedules, and really the ability to support some of our instructional goals. But ultimately, this transition is about giving staff and students and families a better experience
Sure.
Through our student information system.
Right. And I know that already, specifically at the high school and middle school level, there's already a large group working on getting ready for scheduling for next year. So not waiting till, July 1 of 2026, it'll be hopefully fully implemented. But we know that we have staff, assistant principals, and counselors at the secondary level getting ready as early as mid-December to jump in, getting ready to schedule for next year.
Yeah, this is a full-scale operation. There is no question.
Yeah. So what kind of training or support will teachers and staff that are not working right now currently on the back end of that, but on the front end, receive to get ready for PowerSchool transition heading into next year?
Yeah, so if I can sort of give an extended view of what that looks like. So there is a very comprehensive district team that is working on it. Much of the work and training right now is happening for power users in the area of planning and data mapping. And so
That sounds fun, but it sounds like you got to go to a lot of
it
meetings.
is absolutely riveting. Learning every day what that means.
Sure.
But really, it's ensuring that we are solidifying the architecture
Right.
of the SIS, the PowerSchool Student Information System, up front, so that when we get to a place, and it's an aggressive timeline, but we're trying to do all that data mapping now, so that November 24th and 25th, our power user group, which it does, you mentioned, constitutes administrators, support staff, some of our local power users, counselors, staff of that nature, are getting that introductory training as soon as a week and a half from now.
So they'll get a chance to see what it looks like on the, what's going to be on their screen, the normal way they interface with Skyward.
Correct. What we learned from our staff feedback is that having go-to people in every building, and that's who we define as power users, is critical for later steps that come this spring. And so, our administrative team will then go through 3 days of training with PowerSchool, December 15th, 16th, 17th, to actually build our secondary schedules in PowerSchool. And so that training is really happening. But training is our top priority. It was the number one thing we heard in the survey that was not done well when we rolled out Skyward. And so we are partnering with both Skyward as the entity for training, but we also have a partnership with Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit, which is an organization that has led many, many districts through a transition to PowerSchool. And so currently our training very much is no less than 3 days a week.
I see
for
it on
many
the calendars.
hours.
I've jumped into a couple, but I see it on the calendars, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
But you're trying to get it right. That's the goal, right? The goal is to...
We are. We really are. And then what teachers have to look forward to in the spring is an introduction to PowerSchool generally for our K-12 all staff.
Right.
And then very explicit training for teachers. And we are trying to embed that in our current professional development schedule. But
and
it
was
will
also
take
talk
time.
for the day of 190 for when the summer trainings.
Absolutely.
We talked about getting the teachers for the day of 190 beginning, July 1 of...
Correct.
26, there's some modules online to take to get a little more.
Correct. And I will say PowerSchool as an organization, once we get everybody into the platform in the spring, has a really robust content library of videos.
Okay.
The beauty of PowerSchool, and many of our high school teachers I think will really like this, and hopefully some of our elementary or our middle school teachers will come along, but PowerSchool has a strong integration with Schoology as our LMS. And so, but all that training they have to look forward to.
Right. So what will this change mean for parents and students on their end? Like for parents, are they going to see...
Yeah, I mean, I do think that they'll appreciate how easy the interface of PowerSchool is to use, especially in our mobile app. It's far more end user friendly, in my opinion, and from what I've seen. But parents will be able to still, similar to Skyward, they will be able to see grades, assignments, attendance, all in one place, real time, and teachers will benefit from the integrated tools, as I mentioned.
I don't know if you know the answer, but if I'm a parent and I have 3 kids at 3 different grades, I can log in one time and get all students' grades, probably different clicks, or I'm trying to think of the ease for parents as well.
Yeah, and I haven't really looked at that, but I believe that is accurate. But
yeah, I would assume you don't have to log out, but I was just trying to think of the features.
You can toggle through students.
Yeah, similar to when you have multiple buildings in, let's say, Parent Square. It definitely helps to funnel that information. Okay. So I know the process has been in the works since before last school year. You've been working directly with Mr. Roth, Mrs. Shipe, have both been very instrumental in the process, and as well as you have, so we appreciate that. So any thoughts on the transition, being a full team effort? And I know you've got many, many meetings coming up.
Yeah, this is my first time changing student information systems, and so there was a little bit of naivety in understanding just how valuable the voices in the room are, just how important calling all of our colleagues to the table to get this right.
Sure.
And so while, yes, much of the data mapping is happening with Mrs. Shipe and myself, we would not be able to do it without the insights of some of our principals, our directors, because what we realized is that if it is wrong, it is going to create a terrible experience for our teachers and our students. And so we're trying to really intentionally get it right. And problem solve now instead of later.
So for an example there, you're talking about some of the work that the high school is doing with codes for their courses. to make sure the
Correct.
schedule is properly done.
Yes, correct. And, we're cleaning up some of that information that was in Skyward that is not correct. And so it is a full scale. When I say full scale operation, I want everyone to know when we're sitting behind closed doors for 4 hours with principals and directors, we are not wasting our time. It's just, it is arduous. It is a lot of work.
Well, good work put in will be a good product coming out.
Indeed.
Something like that. All right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. The information on PowerSchool is obviously important to share with all of our staff as well as our community and the upcoming change. And I think we're off to a great start for that transition, and want to make sure that the more information that we can share with everyone, and to kind of from the parent side and the staff side, that there's training planned, and that we're really thinking it's going to be a smooth transition as best we can.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me.
Sure.
No question, a change of this magnitude takes time,
Right.
focus, and
Well, here
honestly
we are, right?
trust.
It's November right now, and we're talking about something that's potentially going to impact the main user July 1, right? And it's already started months before.
Yep.
So that's the whole point.
And we're hopeful that it goes really well.
Yeah.
And people trust us.
Yep. Well, it's not from a lack of effort, I can tell you that, because I can see the work going on. So thank you to both of our guests on this episode. I want to thank Mr. Fries as well as Dr. Farina for joining us and sharing all of the information that they shared today. On our next episode, we'll be joined by another Upper Perkiomen School District principal. So far, we've heard from 3, so there's 2 left. So who's your guess? Also, we will have a member of our maintenance team joining me to learn more about how to get our schools ready after a snowstorm, or even the dreaded 2-hour delay, what has to happen early in the morning for the schools to get set with removing snow and ice and all those types of things. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. And possibly we may be able to have a conversation with one of our new school board members. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again for listening to this episode. Have a great rest of the day. And as always, I am proud to be UPSD.